Let's start today's program with the crisis within the All Progressive Congress in Kwara State. It appears that the more we look, the less we see regarding the crisis rocking the ruling All Progressive Congress in Kwara State. This is because rather than abating, the crisis within the party is festering. The Kwara chapter of APC said the lingering crisis among factions in the state is yet to be resolved, contrary to claim made by the National Reconciliation Committee of the party. The Publicity Secretary of APC faction, that is the one loyal to Minister for Information and Culture, that's Ibrahim Sharafadeen, described the purported reconciliation as false, stressing that none of the warring factions and concerned stakeholders sat on a table for reconciliation. Jide, we started this series yesterday or the first day, and we're talking about states that we know that all is not well, that if that convention holds today, that there's some states that they will need to look into. And the impression created that all is well with APC Kwara State seemed not to be the real position.
Yes, and it shows, because for one of the stakeholders to have come out to tell us that, look, no real reconciliation took place. We were not called to a meeting. None of us sat with the Senator Adamu-led National Reconciliation Committee members with a view to resolving lingering issues. So that raises serious doubts about the quality of the work that Senator Adamu has done. I have no doubt at all in my mind that some of these crises, some of these conflicts in the various states are not easy to resolve. Mm-hmm. Some of them date back to 2015, and they are still there. That's why I said there are individuals in the party who assume themselves to be greater than the party. Some of those individuals, if they don't show them the door, if they don't kick them out of the party, conflicts in some states will never be resolved. There are people who have made up their minds that, look, I'm in charge here, I'm the Lord of the manor here. As long as I'm here, you will never be anything in this party. There are individuals like that, and we know them. But as long as the party does not find a way to rein in those people, to bring them under the control, to get them to realize that the interest of the party is greater than individual egos, these problems will remain. I think that even the Reconciliation Committee, in some cases, will just tell themselves that, look, it's a waste of time. These people will not agree to work together. So
animosity. Maybe
in some cases they chose not to even call some people, because they must have assumed that, oh, look, this person abused the minister the other day. The minister will not come, because I know the minister didn't attend any meeting by way of reconciliation, any meeting meant to reconcile aggrieved APC members in Kwara State. I know the minister didn't attend such a meeting. So if the minister that is the leader of his group and a key stakeholder in this whole Kwara mess was not part of any reconciliation meeting, is it safe to believe that some of the little boys within his group were the people who went there? So clearly there's still a lot of work left undone, and the party will hurt itself if it believes that some people, look, even if we don't reconcile them, we will still win. This was the way they were thinking back then in Bauchi, in Adamawa and other places. We warned them since 2016. I was warning, you will lose Adamawa if you do not reconcile Bindo with Baba Memongoro and co. They didn't listen to me. They didn't listen. In fact, a big party member told me, Jide, forget all you say on journalist hangout. The structures of Baba Memongoro have been inherited. As it turned out, those structures were not inherited. In fact, if they were inherited by his son, who took those structures to the ADC And the ADC, the votes that the ADC recorded, if they had matched those votes with the votes of the APC, APC would have won the election easily. So there's no gain in all of these squabbles, you know, that the party members are dragging themselves into.
Sam, it's like the stakes are higher because this is the party in power. If you remember, pre-2015, PDP was that hot. They got into the Supreme Court and he took the chief judge of the country himself to adjudicate, consolidate all the matters and try to just save the party from dying.
You're absolutely correct. The stakes are higher. Elections are just a few months away. And I understand that in the next 6 months or thereabouts, INEC will declare the field open. So you can understand the pushing and shoving.
It's the electoral act that they are waiting for.
Yes.
They would have rolled out the timetable.
The pushing and shoving is going to get even more intense. So my takeaway basically from what is happening in Kwara State is that if there's any peace, as has been suggested by the acting chairman of APC, it's basically a piece of the graveyard. And it is good that someone is speaking up very early. Otherwise, if you have a situation where nobody's speaking from within the Kwara axis, then you could just have a blowout at the end of the day. So yes, definitely the stakes are higher. Are there lessons learned from the past? We don't seem to have any. And I think this is all about a manifestation of super greed. Yes, politics is an interest-driven game, but there must be give and take. So we have a situation where people are not just willing, to consider anything. You want the entire thing. You want to have absolute control, of the party structure, because that is what is going to influence, who gets whatever at the end of the day. But then there is supposed to be a stakeholder, approach to it. No one should assume that he or she, has absolute control. Otherwise, you just find that the party sinks right there under you. So for Kwara, I hope there will be lessons learned. For me, I think this is just all a manifestation of greed.
So ultimately, we want a situation whereby the governor, that's the main actor now, and the Minister of Information will be able to sit down and iron things out.
Sometimes even when they sit down, they still don't forgive one another. Nigerian politicians are a rare breed.
So those
in terms of the capacity for wickedness
and mischief,
Nigerian politicians are a rare breed. They may sit together, they may be laughing,
snap together,
but they may snap each other, they may hug each other. Ayo, why are you going too far into this? We saw a meeting that was purportedly held somewhere in Osun State. And the people who were part of that meeting, they even drove in the same car.
Yes.
Let me ask you, has that matter been resolved? Is it not even worse now?
Worse.
So even when you see politicians hug themselves, laugh heartily, to one another, it doesn't suggest that the matter, the lingering matter has been resolved. I saw, even as a little boy in Kwara, I saw Saraki, Olusola Saraki,
yes,
Shehu Shagari at the Lorimini Stadium. It was assumed that the quarrel had ended because Saraki had these issues with Adamata, who was in Ghana, and he brought him to Nigeria to contest as governor, and he became governor. But he felt he was not respecting him, was no longer giving him the regard that was given him. And this matter became explosive. Then the party leadership waded in. Saraki came to Shagari came to Kwara and raised up Adamu Ata's hand and said, look, the quarrel has ended. Then my mom told me, I don't think this quarrel has ended. I don't know, maybe it was the body language that my mom, but she told me this quarrel has not ended. Immediately after they left, because even school children, they mobilized them, they were by the roadside waving those little flags and all that. Immediately, Shagari and others returned to Lagos as federal capital
Then,
what did we see? Oloye called his supporters and said, see, everything that we did in that place is just a
Photo ops.
photo opportunity. Forget. On Saturday, this is the party that you vote for.
to vote against Adamu.
Yes. And that was how Cornelius Adebayo was able to win. Yes. He defeated the incumbent with the support of the party leader in the state. So some of these things, sometimes you see them laughing. It doesn't mean that they've forgiven one another. I fear them a lot, these people.